Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers are trying to get back to the national prominence, trying to get back to the college football playoffs and winning the ACC. How can they get there? I have three names that you should know as we get into the summer, as we get closer to fall camp, next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tiger football team, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network, and I am the co-host of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. And guys, welcome to the show. Welcome for tapping in with your boy. I appreciate you. If you're new here, come grab a seat. If you're an old listener, I expect you to be an everydayer, okay? I expect you to be an everydayer. So thank you for getting ready to make Locked On Clemson your favorite podcast, your daily podcast, Monday through Friday. I appreciate y'all, man. We have a jam-packed show for you. We're going to get into Xavier Thomas's return, the beast that is Will Putnam at the center position, and a potential breakout candidate, Antonio Williams, wide receiver, guys. So let's really get into it. And for me, as we all know, the Clemson football team didn't have the greatest season last year, right? DJU, being here under center and things didn't go the way that, anyone really expected. A lot of shuffling of the QBs with him and Cade Klubnik and everything. It was just a lot of turmoil, a lot of instability and inconsistency. Well, I don't expect that this year. Cade Klubnik is due to be the starting quarterback. And not only that, but we have more pieces on this team that I believe can make an impact. And I want to kick it off with Antonio Williams, wide receiver. I believe he was a freshman last year. This young man came in, led the team in receptions, receiving yards, and he tied second on the team in receiving touchdowns. All this as a freshman. Young man that aligned all over the field, played predominantly in the slot. Williams was one of the better route runners and receivers on this team. And not only that, but you saw a young man that gave you something that this offense and this receiving core didn't show, and that was explosiveness, dynamic ability, the ability to win one-on-one and create space for the quarterback and create bigger targets and bigger windows in terms of separating, on the ground and not so much having to win the 50-50 jump balls. And what I love him, and for me, is I think that he's a potential breakout candidate. I truly do. Coming off a season where, again, the passing game was not the greatest. This is a new revamped offense under new OC, Alex Riley, coming over from TCU. So when you look at Antonio Williams, 604 yards last year, average almost 11 yards per catch. Like I said, mostly aligned in the slot. Most of the time, 93% of his snaps were in the slot, but a young man that really showcased his ability. He was good in the contested catches, caught 7 of the 12 contested targets thrown his way, and 1 drop. So you're talking about, and we're discussing here, being consistent for a young first-year starting quarterback in Cade Klubnik. You need someone that's going to catch the ball. It's just like shooters in the NBA, right? All it takes is getting a couple shots to go down. Now the rim and the basket looks bigger than what it is, and now your confidence is going. So you want to get your young quarterback into a rhythm in games early, and having a guy that he knows he can trust and that can potentially be a security blanket for him. That's big, and that's important, because at the end of the day, you don't want Cade to go out there and have to play hero ball. You don't want him to feel like it's all on him. And having a consistent wide receiver like an Antonio Williams, which I believe will be a breakout candidate, guys. I truly believe that. This is a young man that you got to keep your eyes on. And yes, he's not, especially when you think about the traditional Clemson receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Justin Ross, T. Higgins, Joseph Nata, all these guys, they're bigger body guys. He's listed around 6 foot 180. Typically, you take an inch or two off, so he might be 5'10", 5'11". But even with that, right? Even with the if he doesn't match that 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 215, 220 profile, this is a young man that I believe that can ball and ball at a high level and high clip for this Clemson football team and this offense. I think he could be the deep threat for them, but also be a chain mover. Look, I look at this situation with him and Cade. I think he could potentially be Cade Klubnik's best friend in the 2023 season, and that helps this offense get back into a good spot, back into rhythm, back to being explosive and dynamic, and just get back to being Clemson winning football, right? You want to get back to that, and I believe that combination of Cade Klubnik and Antonio Williams can get us there, guys. I think it can get us there. I'm telling you right now, this is one of those guys that we have to keep our eyes on and understand what he's going to bring to the table. Dynamic, explosive, route running, reliable hands, all of those things. I can't wait to see what him and Cade Klubnik are going to be able to cook up this season, guys. But coming up next, we're going to get into the center position, the interior offensive line. Man, an unsung hero, a guy that does not get enough love, but I want to show him some love coming up next. Looking for a delicious snack but don't want all the sugar and calories, then you need to try the best tasting protein bar ever, and that's Built Bar, Built Puffs. Guys, if you're like me, you want to make healthier snack choices but don't want to compromise on taste, I've got just the thing for you. Built Bars and Built Puffs. They're healthy and they taste amazing. So much so that you won't even realize or think that they're good for you. So I promise you, you got to give it a try. What makes them so good? Well, for starters, they're covered in 100% real dark chocolate. You heard me correct. 100% real dark chocolate, guys. And they come in unbelievable flavors: churro, peanut butter brownie, and my personal favorite, cookies and cream. So all you have to do is, you can do like me, and I go to my local Walmart. I go to the pharmacy section and find a 4-bar box of cookies and cream. I go out and purchase it. Or if you're more of a bulk person, you can go to Sam's Club and get the specialty flavors there as well. Or you can just let us help you. And that by doing that, go to BuiltBar.com, use our promo code LOCKEDON15, and guys, you will get 15% off your next order. The interior offensive line is important, guys. And it's not, first of all, the offensive line is not a sexy position for anyone outside the offensive lineman, right? They feel like they're the sexiest people and most important people on the field. And to be honest, as much as we praise quarterbacks, you got to have a competent, good offensive line. And to me, it starts on the interior, especially. The QBs behind the line of scrimmage are important, but the QB on the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage is so important as well. Center Will Putnam. What I really like about Will is he's very disciplined, and you see that, and his leadership, his discipline, his character, high character, all that is a direct correlation to his father. Will Putnam's father, Colonel Neil Putnam, served 30 years in the United States Army, including 24 years as a member of the Special Forces Regiment, known commonly as the Green Berets. And Will himself also works with the Green Berets. The Green Beret frown. He puts in a lot of work with that organization, guys, and that's what he's doing right now. Especially, like I said, being the son of a special forces officer himself. But when you watch him on the field, you see a guy that's intelligent, high football IQ, a young man that's and the thing about it, he's versatile. And that's what that IQ is. That IQ kicks in as well, because his first 3 years he spent at right guard. He started at right guard the 2020 and 2021 season before moving to the center spot, right? So he gives you that versatility, not just in college, but of course, me being an NFL draft analyst as well, you also look for that when you talk about guys, in the NFL draft as well for NFL teams. So when you look at what Will Putnam is going to bring, power, strength, really hard, like that work ethic, man. This young man had pushed a Jeep up an incline of a parking garage. He lunged a 150-pound sandbag around his apartment complex, and that's all just for sport. So when I tell you that he's a little different, that's what they mean. When and what you're getting with this young man, you're getting a physical, hardworking, disciplined young man. And I think when you watch him on the field as well, what he's going to do for helping with Cade is calling out the Mike linebacker, right? Helping set protection and identifying potential blitzers and hot defenders that could be coming to attack the line of scrimmage, and make sure that and communicate communicate with his offensive linemen, his brethren, his partners, in the trenches, and to communicate with them so that they can handle twists and stunts and those different rush and pressure packages. And what does that do? That takes some of the stuff off the plate of Cade Klubnik. At the end of the day, for Clemson to get back to where we know they can be, Cade Klubnik is going to be an integral piece to that. But what can they do to get him there? Simple. Make it a little easier for him, right? As I talked about in the first segment, Antonio Williams being that security blanket, that number one type of receiver, that guy that can make plays happen at all three levels of the field and make that job for Cade Klubnik that much easier with separating and giving them bigger target windows. But for Will Putnam, you need that as well on the center position, a guy that can not just double team, but can handle his own, right? In the zone game, reach block and get up to the second level, cut off, backside pursuiters, and everything like that, and allow Cade and as well as Will Shipley with the run game to flourish. And if Cade can feel comfortable sitting in the pocket, then this young, because a lot of times, guys, with young quarterbacks, you get guys that will get a little antsy and not just get antsy, but they'll start bailing clean pockets. They'll hold the ball. They'll kind of run around. You see this a lot in college football, the Houdini stuff, the pirouettes and spins in the pocket. And instead of, getting the ball out and making a play, they create pressure. They out-leverage their offensive linemen. So, and a lot of times that's due because, hey, their internal clock's clicking and ticking. They're not confident in the protection themselves. So having a Will Putnam that can work one-on-one as well as work the double teams and help Cade Klubnik be confident in the pocket, that allows this young quarterback to stand up tall and deliver passes, be a point guard, get the ball to and distribute the ball to his weapons. I'm excited to see what he's able to do because, again, I think what you really love, like I said, the high football IQ, he's tough, he's physical, he's scrappy in terms of Will Putnam. And then the fact that over the last 3 years playing multiple positions, 2 at right guard, 1 starting at center, he's started the past 3 seasons. He's only allowed 6 sacks, guys. Only allowed 6 sacks over the last 3 seasons at multiple positions. That bodes well for this offensive line, the passing game, the run game, everything. I'm excited to see Will Putnam, and you should have his name written down. Yes, I know he's a center, he's an offensive lineman, but I do not care. You should have him marked down as one of those unsung heroes that we should sing about this coming fall during the 2023 college football season. Sorry. But next up, I'm going to get into one more guy that we need to talk about. Up on the edges, we had some departures with KJ Henry leaving, Myles Murphy leaving. Now it's time for a veteran to step up and stand up and be the best guy in the room. Xavier Thomas coming up next. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs. It's the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals. And guys, they're competitive, but man, it's been a shock, right? But listen, right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. What I really love about FanDuel is that you get great promotions every day. Their app is safe, secure, and super easy to use, and you get paid instantly. If you win, you get paid right away, and that's the most important thing, right? You want to put in the right bets. You want to do what you need to do and bet on the right aspects of the game, and when you win, you don't have to wait 3 to 5 business days. You get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on all the playoff action right now, guys, than America's #1 sportsbook, and that is FanDuel. So to get started, just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Xavier Thomas, a veteran on this defensive line. He's been here since 2018. He's going on his 6th year. Last year in 2022, his season was cut short. He was only limited to 3 games due to a foot injury. And as I talked about teasing into this segment, guys, Myles Murphy and KJ Henry, they're gone. Myles Murphy in Cincinnati with the Bengals. KJ Henry departing to the NFL to be being drafted by the Washington Commanders. So what does that mean? Thomas's veteran presence will be needed for this defense to return to, and not so much return to standard, but live up to the standard, right? This is a guy that's been a consistent pressure player and defender off the edge. When you talk about, looking at the 5 years that he's played, including only the 3 games last year, in terms of hurries and pressures, 71. With 2 years over 20 and 3 years over 15. 2018, 17 pressures. 2019, 21 pressures. 2021, 28 pressures. And that year was his best year, truthfully. 5 sacks, 7 QB hits, and 28 hurries or 28 pressures as well. But not only that, he forced 2 fumbles. He has 4 forced fumbles in his career. At 6'2", 265, being an explosive pass rusher off the edge, you need him to bring that consistent pressure. But the thing about it, he has okay sack production. And I'm gonna tell you, I think the best way to put this, he is this year's KJ Henry, where you're an older prospect, you get pressure, right? But you don't have the sack production that just wows you when you look at the stat sheet. But when you watch him on tape, you see a guy that can get after it and make things happen, make plays happen. 18 sacks through five seasons. Only 2 last year. He had the big game. I believe he was ACC Player of the Week versus Boston College last year when he had those 2 sacks in that game. So what are you saying, Damian? What I'm saying is I'm expecting a bounce back year. I'm expecting a healthy season for him and a full season of participation on the field and being one of the best defensive linemen and defenders on this team. His veteran presence will be needed to really help keep this thing afloat, especially in the ACC, where it's going to be in my opinion, a drag down fight. It's going, you have Florida State, you have Drake May over at North Carolina. UNC still has multiple bodies in the quarterback room that can sling the pigskin, guys. Like it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Miami, is the U back? Who knows? But Clemson will be able to see a lot of these teams, and they have to have the ability, or they must be able to pressure them and attack them with force. So I'm looking forward to see what Xavier Thomas is going to be able to bring to this team and to this defense. Like I said, being healthy. I want to see that explosiveness, that first step quickness off the ball. I want to see him be able to dip and rip and set the edge in the run game, because that was what Myles Murphy and KJ Henry were so good at as well, is contain the edge. And as a former running back myself, that's one thing you don't want to see is a defensive end that has turned and torqued his body and flashes, keeps the outside leverage where I'm supposed to attack outside the outside hip of either the tackle or the tight end. And yeah, that roadway is closed. So now I got to find a detour or create a detour myself. And that's what you don't want as a running back. So you want to make teams one-dimensional. So he's got to be able to hold up in the run game as well. Like I said, at the end of the day, and even when you look at his backstory, right, going back to when he was recruited, this young man was the number 3 player in the nation by number 3, number 4. He was a top 5 by most of the big recruiting websites and everything. And he was the number 1 defensive end and number 1 player in Florida. The U.S. Army All-American game participant. It's there. The cachet is there. There's a reason he was so highly touted, and that's because he's extremely talented. And with that talent, he's just got to be consistent. I want to see him get back to 20 plus hurries and pressures, right? But I also want to see him finish and close, because guys, pressures are truly just sacks that weren't finished. You didn't close the deal. And I want to see him go out there and not just get the pressure, not just create the pressure, but get the sacks. Get 25 to 30 pressures, but give me 8 to 10 sacks. I think he can do it with his skill set, with his physical tools and traits. I absolutely think it's possible, guys. That's our show, guys. Thank y'all so much for tapping in with me. Like I said, it's my first show of this podcast, my first episode. This podcast, but come every dayers with me, guys. Tap in with me every single day. I got more content coming. We're going to look at just the evolution of this team. Tap into I'm going to watch tape on this, on Alex Riley and what he brings to this offense. And it's got a lot of content coming. So tap in again with me tomorrow, every day, become an everydayer. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, so you get the latest episode as soon as it's available. Again, I appreciate y'all. Y'all will be my family. You are my family, Clemson Tigers. Let's get ready for the season. In terms of Twitter, you can find me Damian Parson. You can find me at DP_NFL. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.